Okay, let's get started on stringing this necklace and learning how to use a beading wire to string it on rather than a solid metal wire. And the beading wire I'm using is Wildfire, and it's a white frosty one, and it is 0.008 inches or 0.20 millimeters. So it's a thin wire. And I went on and did half of this. I cut it, the wire, to about 14 inches because I'm going to add chain onto it after this. I just wanted this part of the front of the necklace to hang like, you know, going up to your shoulders, and then I'll connect chain to it, and then we'll put the toggle clasp on the back at last. So let's get it out of the way. Now, like I told you, with the other bead that has a larger hole to put beads inside, that bead to hold it so when you string it, it will hang evenly. Well, this one I used blue tube beads in there because I didn't have a bead that would get it in there that was the color that I wanted. And you can barely see the blue coming through on this side. Now, where my wire goes up in the center, I had to put 2 beads on this side, and then I'll put 2 beads on that side. So let's start there. And this is a little spring holder to put on your free end of your wire so everything doesn't go flying off the end. And you can use a beading needle for this, but this beading wire is sturdy enough to where it'll just go through there. And I forgot how many it took on the other side. That one's not round. And these are just little glass tube beads. And we'll push them in there. And it looks like one more, and it will depend on how long your tube bead is. Some of them are longer than others. When you buy them in a bunch of different colors and stuff, they're not really consistent with their sizes. That one's a little bit too long, it's stuck out. So this one's a little bit shorter. Let's see if this one's a little bit shorter than that one. And that's the shortest one. Well, I'm going to put it on there anyhow because it didn't come out enough. You know, just a little bit. And I'm going to put, if I can find it, I had everything sitting out here. This. We'll put this little silver bead on the end, mainly to hide the hole. Now that works when it's up there tight. Okay, so then we're going to repeat our pattern on this side. And again, I picked up these are all the beads I had laying out on the side when I was working on this necklace. So again, I'm picking up my green. I have a little spacer that has little rondelle type, I don't know if you can see it, rhinestones in there just to give it a little bit of sparkle. And my green beads are tear shaped. So I'm putting the smaller ends into the end with the rondelle circle thing in the middle. You can do it either way, but I just like that look. Then I'm adding a flat, flowery rhinestone spacer bead. And a blue bead. And another spacer. And another blue one. And then another spacer. I used a lot of spacers in here, but I didn't think the beads looked right just sitting up beside each other. Then I got into these odd shaped blue and white marbleized type beads and put that there. And another spacer. And I just chose the beads by color for number 1. And just shape and size to give a little bit of variety. I'm now using some pale green pearlized seed beads, and I think these are size 6. And I will put 3 of them on. And then I'm going back and pick up my little heart spacer that I used in the necklace. And I'm going to put it on there to divide the green seed beads. And so it will match up with the rest of everything. Since I had the metal hearts on the necklace, I thought it might be nice to, even though they're heading the wrong way, these are going right to left to where the ones in the necklace I was able to get them to go up straight, up and down, because it's the way they're beaded. Let me get these out of the way. And another spacer. And my other blue and white funny shaped marbly bead. And a spacer. And all of this is, you know, just really trial and error in what you like. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's what you like and what you think looks good. And my 2 blue beads again. I'm just matching and going opposite of what I did on the other side. And another spacer. Then I'm going back to my green bead. A little pear-shaped bead, teardrop. Okay, so let me get these out of the way, because it's now time for the little tiny stuff. Let me put my screw or my holder on there while I show you these little things. This little thing actually has a hole in it. Let's see if I can get down to it. There's your hole that you put your beading wire through. And then we're going to use our crimping tools to crimp that bead shut. But before we put the crimp bead on all of it, There's another little item that looks like a horseshoe. And that is called a guideline, or for your a guide for your wire guide. And it has, let me see if I can find me. It has holes on both sides and little tubes on both sides. And your wire goes up one side. Let me grab it again. There's a groove in the top of the horseshoe shape, and your wire fits down in that groove and then goes back down the other wire, and then we're going to feed it through the crimp bead before we crimp it. So let me get that much done. We'll put, I can find it again, here it is. Put my crimp bead on, or a crimp tube, they're basically the same thing, and scoot it down. I'm going to get my wire guide and I'm going to go up one side, across the top, and you'll need a little bit of room, so leave yourself a little bit of extra wire there just to manipulate this. Down through the other side and back through my crimp bead. Now I've got it. Now you want to pull all of this tight with your thread you just put back through, and you want your horseshoe guide wire straight on top. And here is the wire coming out the end of my bead. Let me tighten it back up. I dropped it and loosened it up. I'm going to hold that wire on my last bead so it doesn't loosen up and slide. We'll take my crimping top pliers, put them in the first little groove one way, turn it, put it in the next groove the next way, and squish. And we'll get me a pair of pliers that will grip and make sure this is tight. Well, those aren't going to grip well enough. Let me see if these will grip. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Now, if at all possible, you can cut off that little tail of your wire, but I like to slide it down in my bead and hide it in there. And that's more secure of it not coming apart. It was long enough to come out the other end, so I just pulled it on through and tightened it up. And I'm going to take my wire cutters, and I'm just going to cut it. Make sure you don't cut both of them, and cut it off. Okay, so there it is. You've got your crimp bead on there, your crimping tube. You've got your little horseshoe shaped thing. And now we're going to put on a crimp bead cover. Now let me get this in my pliers. And you want a pair of pliers that's going to hold it. It has teeth in it. And it has a slot, an open slot on one side. And you're going to hold it and you're going to put it over your crimp bead. Slide it on there and press it shut. So it gives you an end of a bead on it. So you can't see your crimp cover at all. Okay, so we've got this much done. So let's put our connector. Let's see how long it ended up being. We're right at 11 inches. I'm going to cut this one right here. Make sure. Okay. So I've got my chain done. I don't know why I think this piece of tape is going to hold that chain on there, but at least it holds it in place to where it doesn't come flying out. Okay, so we're going to attach, let me get these little pieces of metal off of here. We're going to attach these with a jump ring, and I'm going to use a little jump ring here. I only need 2 of them. And then I'm going to hook my toggle clasp onto the other end. So I don't need my wire cutters anymore. Let me get out my curved chain link pliers. Let's open up our jump ring. And we're going to put it on one end of our chain. And we're going to put it through our little guideline horseshoe shaped thing. And why that's there is so your wire's not rubbing against metal to metal all the time. Okay, let me get the larger one while I'm still on this side. Open it up. I'll put one side of the toggle clasp on. And this can be shortened if need be. I was just going to try it at this length and see how far down this necklace hits, since it's such a long necklace. And if I need to shorten my chain, I sure can, no problem. Okay, let's do the same thing to the other side. We're going to put our smallest jump ring on our chain. And on our other end with our little guideline. And close it out. Get our little bit larger jump ring. Open it, twist it, don't pull. Slide that on. Our other side of our toggle. And close that back up. Now let's lay it out and see what we have. Your toggle just slides in there. This looks rather long to me for this long necklace. So I'll probably end up cutting off some of the chain, because this is, well, maybe 26 inches necklace wise. So with this hanging down, that could be a problem. So I'll go in and probably cut off 3 or 4 inches up here and just move the toggle. I'll probably cut off 3 or 4 inches of the chain up here, because that looks more like it. Let's see how long it would be at that point. That still may be a little long, but I'll put it on and give it a good size there and cut it off and post a picture of it when it's finished in this video. So that's how you do your little things with your beading wire instead of using a metal beading line. While I had my necklace up on the blackboard, I noticed something I didn't care for at all, which was this loop right here made out of wire going through the tube bead. So I had wire wrapped a bead down there, and instead of actually wire wrapping, I took another bead. I took 22 gauge steel wire, and I'm going to pull it to where that bead's about in the center, just to give me enough to work with. And I want to keep the wire as tight around the bead as I can, so I'm going to cross it over, the wire over. If I can get back to it, cross the wire over, and I will twist it. And I don't need to twist it very long, but I just want to hook this bead up here to finish off that loop, because I just didn't care for it at all. It just looked totally unfinished. And that's what we're doing here, is finishing up what we started. So okay, I wrap the wire around itself all the way out to the end. Just wrapped it around to hold the bead on. And I'm going to put, I guess I should put it through the front, although I'm hoping it doesn't matter. We'll put that bead, the wiring, through the little loop. Put the loop all the way up next to the bead, and I'm just going to take that wire and wrap it around the loop. And I'm going to bend that bead right there. So we'll straighten out the rest of my wire I've got hanging out here. And we'll see if I can get it bent. And put in that hole in my filigree, and that'll help hold that bead in the center. Another fiddly thing, trying to get wire down in a tiny filigree hole. Maybe it's too long. Maybe let's cut a little bit of that off of there. Let's see if that doesn't work better. I just need it to reach that little filigree hole right there and go in. But this is why it's a good thing to need to make sure my ends are together so they'll both go through the hole at the same time. That would help. But that's why I say too, as you're making things and you're not sure of things, take pictures and look at them. I hadn't noticed that hook I made sitting on top of this, just empty sitting there at all. So Just take pictures and look at things and see how you like it. There you go. I finally fiddled with it enough to where it's there. But you know what I should have done? I don't know if that'd work or not. I'll leave it alone. I've got it there. So that looks much better than that hook sitting there on top. And I'll work it. I may super glue that down metal to metal and beads. That may hold better, but I'll super glue that and see if it doesn't hold better. Okay, just wanted to bring you back to show you that. See you later. So up next is probably another one done like this that's totally crazy. That's just me though. Blessings.